Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, the 25th of July, 2022, and it's been a few days since I've posted. I did see some family over the weekend, and all interesting, and like a bit of discussion just regarding like ancient civilizations, ancient religions, ancient cultures, and just how like we're being misled even by our own history, even here in North America and Canada. And like a lot of the research that I did, and I keep doing, I keep on going down these different rabbit holes that like just continue to like not shock me, but like just like really like reinforce like positions and ideas that I held even when I was serving in the military. That I now like it just confirms like a lot of things that I was like even thinking and observing when I was in, and yeah, just like events that made me even more like cautious of like even defending myself and protecting myself against like my own, because like even when I was overseas, I was called the Blonde Devil. I was like the only female, one of the only females in the battle group, and I was like an infantry officer, as an officer, sorry, in the combat arms, and I was also the battle group embarkation officer, like managing like thousands of people like all over the world to go to the front lines and then beyond, and then the equipment and stuff like that as well. But I've already mentioned that before. But I was also like a convoy operations officer, and yeah, like I sometimes I would get like talked to about my firearms being loaded and ready, or at least loaded, and I would say like I'm literally doing this like for my own safety as well, right? Because there had already been issues with people of taking things to extremes with me, and I already had to pull it out on a few occasions. But anyways, it is what it is. And so, but I was wondering if I was being targeted. I always had that feeling too, because I was anyways in other ways. But I listened to this documentary just like over the weekend, like I was saying, and it was sorry, I'm just like trying to look at my notes just to make sure I get the guy's name right, because I've been going through a lot of notes here. I'll get it. Excuse me, bear with me. David Irving. So like this is from like the 70s and 80s that he's discussing. He's a whistleblower. He worked with government for many years, but he also like he's like an archive, like an expert person that deals with like archives, like official documentation evidence that was like once classified or top secret information. Like he accesses these things, and even ones that have been covered up from like multiple levels of government. It's only higher levels up that usually get information that he has seen throughout his life, And so David Irving, very interesting. And so he was discussing, what I was listening to the other day was about it was about Winston Churchill, and how like even in the 1920s, like he first of all, he was an alcoholic, and I can empathize with that, because there was a period of my life too where I was an alcoholic and went to rehab, excuse me, and then I ended up getting a stalker from rehab, so it didn't help that whole thing. Anyway, and yeah, and so like he would go to all of his meetings, like cabinet meetings and everything like that. He'd be completely inebriated, and this was something that was well known and documented, but removed from public view, and from like a lot of like government, like depending on what level of government you are and how higher up you are, hidden from that view as well. And so like he even had 2 million anthrax bombs that he was talking about like putting on people in Europe, and so and so many other things like sarin and taboo gas. Like these are other like poisonous gases, like nerve gases, that Winston Churchill talked about wanting to employ on human beings, and it went completely against the Geneva Convention, right? And so like I've been taught military law, obviously, especially before you deploy. You're supposed to learn about the rules of engagement, like military, like law, like so many different excuse me, charters and anyways, protocols to follow. And he being an alcoholic, you know what I mean, not in control of his own cognitive abilities, was calling for, like, again, like complete genocides of people, and throwing out anthrax and sarin and taboo gas, and like this is confirmed, and I've shared this on my social media, and I can share this to other people. I've shared it on Signal and Telegram as well, and it goes through the dates and stuff like that as well. That even in 1937, like he had a chance to through Henrik Bruning, who was the chancellor at the time, anyways. He had a chance because he was doing peace talks, Winston Churchill, and through Bruning with Adolf Hitler, to end the war by like 1940, June 23rd, 1940. The war could have ended, and Winston Churchill, because he had so many failures up to that point, and being an alcoholic, and again making bad decisions because of these things. And trying to commit like war crimes. He's the one that actually refused to have like peace, and I'm not promoting anything that, like, I'm not trying to be pro anyone here or take sides. I'm giving you information that are facts. I can share this information with you, and yeah, so these are all really important things that we need to really take into consideration, like even mustard gas, for example, and so I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, so on livestock and human beings, and there was an island that they tested, like I believe it was the other, I think, no, yeah, anthrax. And so there's an island, I forget where it is, but you can Google this. It's an uninhabited island that was tested with anthrax during that time, and then even, no, not during that time, like decades prior to when David Irving is talking about this, so like 1930s, 1940s, I'm assuming. And there's an island that's like still not able to be inhabited because it's still like too poisonous. It's still too toxic because of this anthrax. And yeah, so in 1939, Canada and the U.S. were fighting for Poland because there was the invasion of Poland, and what Winston Churchill and what a whole bunch of other leaders were saying was, like, you know, just like we're doing with Ukraine, to varying degrees, right? And then it went from that to, again, then Winston Churchill, like, he's losing, like he's inadvertently killing people by the decisions he's making with all these war calls, like, because he was an admiral too, like he has made missions like a land, air, and sea that caused atrocities that were not necessary, and he could have stopped it. But then again, like, we had years more of war and holocausts, and depending on where you are on the side of the fence with that, either to a larger or a smaller scale than we're being led to believe. But in any case, most of the camps that I speak about were in places like Poland and you know, Austria, and a lot of European countries that were extreme left, communist, socialist at the time, including Poland. And yeah, like, if Russia was aligned with us too, and so we need to, like, really, like, pay attention to these things. And so and another thing I was contemplating not saying because it's awful, but in Dieppe, this is like another World War issue that, look, Canadians were heavily involved in, right? And so, like, World War I and World War II, and any you know, war in history that Canadians were involved in, we were always given the most intense, I guess, missions, and so with Dieppe, it has been proven that not only did the Germans know that the soldiers were going to be landing in Dieppe, but they knew the time, they knew the day, and they knew this for a while, and they were preparing for it. And our own, they knew that the Germans knew, and they still sent our troops, knowing full well, like, I'm talking higher level, they knew full well that they were going to be slaughtered, and they still sent them out, and this is confirmed. And there's many cases of this too, where war is money, it profits a few, and they're the ones that make the rules. And so oftentimes too, they will lie and they will exaggerate things, or they will not let people know about proper intelligence in order to make better decisions, because they're trying to make a name for themselves, or they're trying to profit. And again, these are not reasons to go into war. So even with what we're doing with Ukraine, even Kamala Harris said that she's never been to Ukraine. Like, hi, I've been all over Europe, like almost all over Europe. I've been to a lot of places in Europe, and I understand the like the history more than even our own Chrystia Freeland and people in government right now. And I've tried to share them history, but that's not censored because our history is heavily censored unless you look at archives or the Wayback Machine for things that are even posted online and get access to copies that were originally posted and not edited, because again, like what you see online, there's multiple duplications of versions, I mean, that they go through, and they just and you can like access the older ones. Anyway, it's a little tricky, but you can still do it. And yeah, like I wanted to go into, oh yeah, like even with the Hussites, like in the 1400s, in like the Bohemians or whatever you want to call them, that were in Istanbul, Constantinople, whatever you want to call it, in the olden times, in the Hussites. So in the 1400s, there was a group of religious people in Constantinople or whatever you want to call it, that wanted to be able to read the Bible or their religion in their own language. And the Roman Pope, like from the Vatican, he like saw that as an ego thing. He was like a control freak at the time, and he actually ordered multiple different armies to go and fight and kill these people. And so it took so many different armies. I believe it was 9, but don't quote me on this. But people would go and fight on behalf of the Roman Catholic Church with this Pope. And one army would go there, and they would get slaughtered by these Hussites, and then like that again, like he would be like, oh, like we need to send more people, and there's a lot of people that were like not wanting to buy in after like a few, 1,000 people like started dying, and like they were not winning, and so there was a lot of people, just like what's happening now, right, with the world, like a lot of countries don't want to align with the U.S. anymore because they've lost a lot of people, they've lost a lot of money, they like and they're way worse off now by having any involvement with the U.S. Than before, right? And like Pakistan obviously is like included in that. India, like the list goes on. So like it's not like I'm saying anything that's like incorrect. And these countries are aligning with people like Russia and things like that, where they're perceiving them to be better leaders. And I know that sounds awful, but I've shared some information on like on what's going on in Europe and why, and how old this drama is. And the only way out of it is to do things that we're not doing, and that's by design. So I've emailed our leaders, and I've shared this information as well. But like this is just like another, I don't know, bad idea, and another like step into like a collapse, I guess. And I don't want to go there. But yes, the Hussites, and like I think by the end it was like hundreds of thousands of people ended up needlessly dying just because people wanted to read books in their own language, like their own religion in their own language, and the Pope was a control freak and didn't care. So throughout history, like these people that we see as these like religious leaders, they have not been good people. They have been the ones that have caused the most death, and it is by virtue of like their own power and ego. They're like, no, I'm the leader here, absolute monarchy at the Vatican, right? It's Vatican City is its own country with its own rules and laws, and I won't tell you who it's owned by now, but it's not Roman Catholics, and they're more Satanists than Roman Catholics anyways, the people that are running this and hiding information that's there underground in their libraries and in so many different areas of the world, including not even the U.S. has like a lot of hidden information that they're not allowing us to have access to, and Canada as well. So I'm looking at my notes. So much going on, but and it all has to do with resources too, right? And then you got people like South Africa, where platinum and chromium was like not like, it's like that's the only place, or like, well, even chromium, I think 90%, 93% of chromium is from South Africa, and platinum I think it's like more than that maybe. But so I'm wondering, I hope that they're okay in the future. But yeah, what else is on the news? Monkeypox has been classified as a global pandemic, and I still believe that the Earth is flat in a simulated holographic reality, artificial reality. But the construct with a dome above, we're in a contained environment, which is why lighter things float and heavier things go down, and why it's not able to escape. It doesn't make sense. Like it wouldn't make sense unless we were in a contained environment. Like, and anyways, I don't want to get more into that because this is where I lose people. So they have monkeypox, and so I've said this before. I've said this for like over a year. Like when they do these things, when they say this, they're hiding vaccine injuries, okay? And I don't care if anyone thinks a conspiracy theorist or not. This is what they do, right? And so I've already shared this on my social media. The ingredients for certain jabs that we've been inoculating ourselves with for the last year and a half. The chimpanzee adenovirus, like in it, like partial, and I've shared that, so it's not like you can't even search it yourself or just go on my Instagram. And so anyone that has monkeypox, like if they're being tested, they're likely being tested or whatever, and like whatever was in their jab is what they're being told they have, right? It's ridiculous to me, and like and some of the side effects look to me like shingles, and I'll leave it at that as well. Like, so like I'm just like, we've done this so many times before with smallpox and polio, and when are we gonna learn? So frustrating. And throughout history too, there's been pandemics that precede wars, and then wars that precede like more like ecclesiastic, like anyway, rulership that causes more injury and death and harm to innocent people that we only find out after the case. And so the most outbreaks are in places like New York and California, in the US, for example, and these are the highest rates of vaccination, and there's no coincidence in this. And even Dr. John Campbell just released yesterday, and he's pro fucking fudging vax and everything else, who I've been following for years now and trying to give him information to reconsider. And sometimes he has good videos though, and so like I'm not dismissing the good videos. He just is misleading in so many other ones. But anyway, he's talking about 5 to 11-year-olds as of yesterday or today being hospitalized over various conditions, and it's predominantly in those who are partially and fully vaccinated in children. So like, let me say that again. The hospitalizations for children 5 to 11 and poorer outcomes needing oxygen is higher in people who are children who are double vaccinated or partially vaccinated, which make up almost 80% of the groups of children that are going into the hospitals now, more. And it's alarming to me because like, we can't dismiss the fact that whatever they're being diagnosed with or treated with, like, we have to realize that these are vaccine injuries, or therapeutic injuries, or because of mandates being so strict in certain areas for so long, and acute conditions becoming chronic, or people not being treated or seen properly because of politicizing healthcare. We're going to see more and more issues, and this is not good news, and it doesn't make me happy to say, because like, I have family. But until we stop allowing this to happen and speak out more, then like they're going to continue to do it, because no time in history either has anyone that's been extreme on either side stopped putting measures and restrictions in, unless it was by virtue of people insisting that they stop, right? And I'm 100% about peaceful and doing this at a judicial, legislative level. But I'm also trying to reach lawyers who are not willing to fight this in court. There are some, but they are certainly not the majority. And I'm all over the place with this stuff, but yeah, like, I go on these multiple rants because it is what it is. We need to pay attention to this stuff. So we need to stop politicizing health, law enforcement, and education, because the FBI, I don't know if you know who Roger Stone is from the US, but he's the one that they wanted him to discuss, like, the January 6th staged event that happened anyway, and like, he wasn't there, he wasn't involved in it, had nothing to do with it, and so CNN got tipped off, which is so ridiculous to do. It's so petty, and they were like filming, like, the FBI like arresting this guy Roger Stone. And so why are we politicizing this? And if he wasn't like a pro-Trump, or it didn't work with Trump, then these people wouldn't care or bother with him. It's because they want to get his information, like his phone information or his emails from, like, even old conversations with his old boss, because they want to find dirt on him. And this is all shady stuff. Like, we need to stop doing this. We need to get out of what we're in, and this is not the way out. Like, using like law enforcement, using government and media to control and manipulate. Come on, like, can we just stop doing that already? And yeah, and so any new viruses that come out, the monkeypox, the first case in the U.S. was from a guy that didn't even leave ever, and then he died. And then now they're saying that there's a case, or yeah, like a couple of cases in the Congo and Nigeria. They've done this with polio, they've done this with smallpox, and they've done this with HIV and AIDS and so many other things. And then when they do that, the media gets involved. They sensationalize this, they exaggerate it, they make us they put us in fear, perpetual fear, where we're looking for a solution out of this like new like pandemic or whatever, or this new illness or virus. And then they offer us a quick fix that makes things worse, or possibly makes things worse, or spreads things more and spreads other things, and we don't give it time before we inoculate the entire fucking population. Ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, so like when we start with the inoculations of varying degrees, this has been when there's always been spikes in cases, and like there's no coincidence to that either. So I hope that we don't do that in the fall. Yeah, and yeah, like I'm hoping that there's a vote of non-confidence that happens, or like a change of tune, some kind of like a healing thing that happens with like our leaders, and they come to Jesus or whatever, and they stop what they're doing with all of their with all of the narratives that they're pulling right now with so many different things, with climate change to this stuff, like it's all fear-inducing rhetoric that's not true. To the there's so much more to climate than they understand or know. They don't even know their own history, and so this is why like I just really hope that we get better people in that have like more experience, more education, and but even people like at the municipal level, like they don't respond to emails, and we're paying them to, and people that are more versed in things than these people are that are being hired by people. They're not like even considering it, and so yeah, like I have yet to get an email back from any of the people that I've sent to, or phone calls back, and it's not like I've been emailing people and being crazy. I've been very respectful, and I've given, like, it's been very professional, and there's been a lot of links, and I've shared this on my social media as well. So there's no excuses at all for anything that we're doing right now. And this is why, like, when I look more into history, like even in the last 100 years, with our own leaders that have intentionally created more wars and more missions and more operations and more like events, like traumatic events, they've done, like, intentionally created and designed them only to like try to make themselves like more significant, like at the time, and then also throughout history as well, like when like a legacy or whatever, and it's really frustrating. And like even gematria stuff, like with certain dates being used too, like this is all occult weird stuff. and yeah, like it would just be like really interesting to see how the general population would react to like the information that people like me, for example, are sharing, and see if they make like the same decisions and the same actions as like a lot of people that are in multiple different levels of government that are so criminal and corrupt, and that's why they're in these places, right? And I feel bad too, because a lot of people in like celebrities, philanthropists, like whatever, like people like in multiple different like stock market people, like it's not even so much that well, it is that too, like with the power and like the selfishness and the fear of losing all this inherited wealth that your families have had for like generations and generations because of lying to people and manipulating and hiding during resets, and coming up with like chaos before resets that people are, you know, infighting and distracted with their own stuff that you're causing, instead of actually preparing ourselves also for resets. I don't know. All interesting things. Oh, what do we do about it? Anyways, I didn't want to go too much on a tangent today. On that note, I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.